Hey, this is Max, student of Price Action Trading System, and today is Friday, September 25th, and I'm going to do a chart lesson for the day. Today was a massive uptrend. It was very tricky to find the trend line. That is why I have that orange line going there, which I initially thought was the trend line. So I'll explain that and what I was thinking once we get there, and then I'll remove it. Um, yeah, it's pretty tricky to find. I think very tough one. A huge uptrend today. There's probably some shorts that you could argue for today, but in a trend like this, I'm not going to go short. Very rarely. Um, so yeah, let's dive into the chart. Freaking so much price action. Okay, so let's see. We had this downtrend in the overnight, and then we had a break and a couple legs down, and then we had this uptrend coming here, and you want to think going into the open that it's probably going to get close or near to fill these gaps. This is the 1 o'clock gap, and then this is the 115 gap or 430. There's two of them. This red one is the more accurate one, and then this is the old one. So I have them both on there. So yeah, when I came in, we had this downtrend that played out, and then we're playing this uptrend here, and we get a close outside and oh yeah, there's a lot of, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. There's a lot of green arrows here, especially early. Maybe it's a preference thing. I tend to be a very cautious trader. So yeah, I wasn't crazy about anything in this congestion. So a lot of them are green. I mean, not, a lot of them aren't just perfect setups. A lot of times on these support levels, I want to see a higher low or a lower high from the top. And you don't get that here. You don't get that here. You don't get it here. So yeah, ton of greens. This one right here you could argue to be blue, but I guess we'll get there here in a bit. So anyways, when the morning started, we had a close and we had a close outside of the trend line, and it's two legs back. You got a little second entry here, so pull back, first entry, pull back, second entry. This is going to trick people and going long just a little early. They get trapped out. Then you get a fairly bullish bar here. So you could argue that for kind of like a tricked second entry, because people got tricked here just a little too early. It flushes down. You're expecting it to make a new high. So I have that marked as green. We get two legs up, and then we just go sideways into the open. And so when the market opens and it's this close to the gap, my bias is going to be up. We're more than likely going to fill that gap. So I'm not looking for shorts really at all. And this right here is just really nasty, especially into the 6:30 open or 9:30 if you're on the East Coast. You can get chopped to pieces here. You get a new low here, and then you can argue that's a higher low, another higher low. I stayed out of that. And then you get a break lower here, but it's just a first entry, and it's not a higher low, so it's a little risky, but it's marked green. It kind of fits the rules. Get a close outside and a new high, and then you get a lower high here, but the signal bar is not the most bullish, and it's right into a low there and the resistance. So I think you're better off just to sit tight. You get a second entry here that bounces at the support, but this downtrend needs to play out. It would have worked, but I think it's better to let the downtrend play out. You get a break lower and a nice bullish bar, and that's a decent trade there. You know, it's a failed break lower, but then again, it's not that high or low, so it's not ideal. And so yeah, when I came in this morning, I actually thought the trend line was like this, this orange line. And I thought that because we had a close outside and a new high, and then this is just congestion, so it whips down, it whips up, and then you get a little trend here with a close outside and a new low. So I thought this was the second swing here. So one swing, this, and this whole range, and then it corrects, and then I thought this was the beginning of a second trend. So when you get that push up and then two legs back, a lot of people are looking and assuming that this is a channel. And so that's why I think this is a good entry. You got a lot of people that get trapped on this lower high trying to play the range. And I think that's what was going on here, is that the range was fighting the trend. And so a lot of people were getting short up here. And so I like this trade because it's a leg up, two legs back. It's a second entry. You got people trapped going short. Nice rejection off the EMA. That's a great trend. It doesn't end up playing out and really holding as a trend. You don't get a third touch, but I still think in the context of thinking that this might be the possible trend, and staying above the EMA and letting the rules play out, that's a good trade. So that's why I have it marked green. But I'll go ahead and remove these orange trend lines now because I don't think they ended up playing out or being valid. But at the time, that's kind of what a lot of traders were thinking, and myself included. And you can tell because they worked. It's playing off of this a little bit and there, but the trend held, or sorry, the range resistance held, and it shot off again, and then created the true channel. So let's remove that and move on. And let me know in the comments if that doesn't make sense. We can elaborate. All right, so where were we? Okay, so we had that second entry long here, and then if that's not the trend line, which it wasn't, you lose steam there, and you get a lower high, pushes through the EMA, and makes a failed second entry long. That's a textbook reversal there, so that's the lone short entry that I have today. All right, sorry, had an interruption there. I think we were talking about this trade here. So textbook reversal pattern there, failed second entry, long, strong rejection off of the EMA. That's a good trade. And so at this point, you are still kind of playing the range, and so you're just looking for higher lows off the support and potentially higher lows off of the resistance. Lower highs off the resistance, and higher lows off of the support. And we shoot through, and then we make a higher low very far away from the EMA. You could argue we have a close outside. I don't know, we don't have a new low there, so that's why it's aggressive, and it's green. So it works. It pulls back to the EMA, and then you get a failed second entry short here. On my chart, it didn't break lower, but it looks really close. It pulls all the way down, just one tick short, and then pulls back. So that's like a hidden second entry short, and it fails, and that's why I have it marked green. If it would have tick lowered and triggered a true second entry short, it would have been a no-brainer. But it is still a first entry there. You push through the EMA, you get a bearish bar, and it closes on its high. Or not closes on its high, but bearish bar. That's a good place to go long. And the trend line's fitting pretty good. And yeah, that's a good trade. Works out. And then it kind of overshoots here and closes outside, makes a new high. So what are we expecting? We're expecting two legs back to find a trend line. Here's leg one, here's leg two, and this will set up the first really great trade of the day. You got, and it's fitting right here off of this low, and and these closes. So you're expecting to get a trend line around here. You get a close outside, that second leg, new high, first entry, pullback, second entry. That is a fantastic trade right there. That's the last trade that I took of the day. I actually closed this chart and had to draw this all over. So everything from here on is me just kind of analyzing, and I didn't see it in real time. Didn't get a runner there, so no runners today for me, but that's okay. Yeah, so two legs back, and then, oh, we didn't talk about any of the measured moves, huh? So once you had this move here, and you close outside, you could argue for it to even be up there. Right about there. And when you kind of correct here, I thought that was the end of the correction, so that could be a target for you, or, you could wait for the true lowest point, and you get it either way. And when you had, so let's erase that. And then when you had this nice leg up here, that guy, when you get those two legs of correction, that's usually the center of the pattern. How many times have you heard Mack say that? So you go ahead and draw your trend line there, and that's what you're aiming for. That's a nice target, and we end up hitting that at 10 in the morning. And that's why, you're really looking for longs, especially here, and when we get the close, and I'll start having longs sprinkled in here. Yep, we push up and shoot to the upper tier of the channel, come back. Only a first entry here, not a great entry. Pull, and then here's your second entry, and it's a double test. Notice that low. Test it once, test it a second time. That's a great entry. Classic second entry. Make two legs up, two legs back. We break through the trend line, but it's a little aggressive here, and it's still just a first entry. This second entry here isn't really bullish enough, so I'd be looking for a failed second entry low off of the bottoms. So you make that new low. First entry short, pull up. Second entry short. If that fails, we're probably going higher. We're still trying to make a new high from this channel within this big channel. And the way I found this big channel, and I'm sure a lot of others did, is off of the tops. Right here, and then when you had this point, it looked good. You have to figure it's going to fit neatly down here, and it does. And it doesn't really ever confirm off of the bottoms, but I mean, you can see it playing off of this midline beautifully, and then we get a spike in channel here at the very end. It's just a crazy strong day. But I'm all over the place because I'm rusty. I haven't done a chart lesson in a couple months. So we get the reversal pattern here, failed second entry short. We get two legs up, a pull back to the possible trend line that confirms it, but not very bullish. Or I mean, a bullish, but not good enough. Not a second entry. We get a close outside, first entry, and then we get a second entry here. Only reason I have this one marked is because our target, is because the context is still up. We didn't quite get to the trend line, and so I thought that there would definitely be, after a close outside, two pushes and two legs up. Although we don't get there, that's a bullish bar, and that fits the rules. So I mean, we don't know trades that are going to work out beforehand, so you got to roll the dice, and that's a great place to roll the dice, and it works out. I mean, you get a scalp and nothing more, but still a good trade. So again, new high. Oh, actually, your second entry is here. Alright, let's mark that one too. I missed that. So new high here, pull back first entry, two legs back with a close outside and a second entry long to retest this and to make a new high. That's a great trade. We come back and test it a second time. Well, looking at it now that was the second entry, you can still say this is all one move. Pull back first entry, pull back second entry. So I like both of those trades. And then at this point, it's looking kind of rangy, and you can see that the midline's holding, so you can trust it. But you do still have to kind of respect, the range and not really look for look for second entries unless they're in a trend line, at least in a trend. That's my opinion. So we make this low. I really like higher lows. That's a double top. first entry pullbacks. You could argue that's a second entry and mark that, but I'd wait on a lower high. You do have strong support there. Um, so yeah, someone could argue for that to be at least green. Uh, but I don't know. It's been a little while. Let's see. We bounced here at 8:07, and so it's been about 45 minutes. Whatever. And then we make a failed break lower here, but that's a little too bearish for me. I mean, it's kind of a toss-up. I think you should just wait for a better setup. That's why I didn't mark it. You could argue for this one or that one to be green. Um, but I think it's better to wait for, a higher low off of a key entry point. And this is a key entry point, but there's no higher low. So this kind of looks like a spike in channel. I believe that's what happened. We spiked up, had two legs of correction, and then we went into this channel. Um, so here's your new low, first entry short. This is off the midline. We touched the top of the resistance. We came to the support. We went to the resistance, and now we're bouncing at the midline. And this is real tricky. You don't know if you're gonna go higher or lower, and so you just gotta wait for a trap. And you get that here. New low, first entry pullback, second entry short. Gets trapped out. That's a great long. And we get just a kind of a real strong trend up, and so we're waiting for prices to come back to the key entry point. I don't really see anything here. You finally get two legs back right there, two legs back to the trend line. That is the EMA is pointing up, the context is up. This is a huge uptrend. This is where you want to be aggressive and really just take any pull back to a trend line or the EMA. And you get that here. Classic entry, second entry, strong signal bar, textbook. Take it. Make a new high, get another two legs back, and a second entry again at the trend line. This confirms the spike in channel trend line. Second entry, take that as well. And then I got a couple greens here where it's a little aggressive, so we get to the trend line and confirm it here. We push up and we make two legs of correction to the midline, and this is why it's marked green, because it is a little pullback to the midline, but we're not at the EMA. But this is a super strong trend. And did we talk about this measured move? Alright, so I think I got this here. So really it's there with the close outside and the new high. So this is all one move. I'd look for the end of the correction to go there. And so that's our target. And so these green ones are aggressive, but I mean, you're not gonna, when a trend is this strong, it's not always gonna come all the way back. So I like this trade. Like I said, two legs back to the midline. It's aggressive, but it fits the rules. Then we get a pullback, but it's only one leg to the trend line. It rejects fairly bullish bar. Aggressive trade, but if you understand what's going on and that this thing is going to the moon, take the entry. Get two legs up, two legs back, second entry, first close outside of this spike and channel trend line. It's really aggressive, but I like that too. We did overshoot the main trend line as to what I believe, but it's the first close outside of this channel here, and so we're more than likely going to push to a new high, and that's what we get. Yep, so that's what I saw today. Sorry this is done late. Wife and kids dragged me to Target and go eat some pizza, so yeah. But we ended up filling both gaps, and that's why the bias was up early in the morning. Filled this one first, and we pulled back, shot all the way down, and then filled the second one. Can clean that up. Tough trend to find. You got to close outside a new high. Oops. A leg down to close a new low, but this was the real correction down. So That's off of the first two swings, discombobulated. Fits nicely off the tops. It's working off of the closes. Sorry, it's working nicely off of the midline. Yeah, it was a fun trading day. I got done fairly early. The measured moves really helped keep you on the right side. No shorts today, in my opinion. Traders have different personalities, but just one last look at it. That's how I saw the day. Strong uptrend, pushing up to 3,300. I thought we would go lower. If you look at the daily and try to use price action, I thought it was a trap to shoot down to 3,000, but that's why we trade intraday, because no one knows what's going to happen long term. Anyways, it's a long chart lesson, so hope this helps whoever sees it. I'm going to wrap it up. Hope everybody has a good weekend, and see you next time.